and the movie theater. Welcome to Newsmakers. I'm Lisa Oligas. In this edition, we learn about the Royale Cinema Lounge. It's located where Bookhouse Theater operated for several years, showing some new but often unique movie releases, as well as showing some of the MSSU International Film Festival movies and serving up lunch and dinner. The new owners have changed up how the business operates, and today we find out how. Our guests today are Royale Cinema Lounge owner-operators and brothers Nathan Hurley and Caleb Hurley. Welcome, gentlemen.
Thank you. Thanks for having us on.
So, Bookhouse was known pretty well as a movie house and restaurant, a place to hang out. You're expanding on that hanging out aspect while limiting food options.
Yeah.
Why did you hone in on the lounge aspect of the theater?
Primarily because we don't know how to cook and don't really have a passion for cooking. The previous ownership were great cooks. They were very innovative with their kitchen, and we love movies and we like eating at restaurants, but we both worked in restaurants, and we didn't want to bring that stress back into our lives. So we kind of just decided we'll make hot dogs and nachos and then movie snacks, and we're going to run it like more of a hangout third space, kind of like a coffee shop, but a lot of movies.
So, hangout space, it's popular for that. What did you do to give it a specific hangout vibe? I know you did some remodeling. Talk to us about that.
Yeah, we pretty much removed the wooden chairs and tables for the most part, because with a restaurant, the goal typically is get people in, eat, leave, get more people in. We'd rather foster a space where people stay for a long time and anybody that comes in really feels at home. So our whole dining area has been changed into a lounge. So we're pretty passionate about movies and VHS specifically. So we filled the whole building with our whole collection of VHS tapes that we've been collecting throughout our tour years. And we got about 2,000 of them. And then we have all these classic TVs. And we have classic TVs throughout where you can come in and just watch whatever movie you feel like watching if you don't want to watch what's on in the cinema. And that's kind of the way we wanted it to be, like more of a 2 to 3 hour stop instead of a 30-minute.
Okay.
So,
I mean, the location was always a hub for alternative films and movies, but you have a space for VHS movies. So how many people have given up the VCR these days? I mean, is this kind of a niche kind of market for you? Caleb, talk about that.
It is a bit of a niche market. It's kind of hard to find the VCRs, but I spend a lot of time at estate sales right now, just finding any ones that I can. A lot of yard sales, garage sales, anywhere. If you have a VCR, call me, please. But yeah, I've just been tracking down VCRs and VHS tapes for the last couple months, just spending a lot of time doing that.
Yeah. So let's talk about that, because people, VCR movies, sometimes you can't see something unless it's, only available on VCR. Do you think that helps position you as a place for people to go, I really want to see this movie, but I can't find it anymore?
yes, definitely. What's really fun is you find a kind of a niche movie from the 90s that didn't really make it to Netflix or something because it wasn't that popular, but it's really good. You put it on, and then the trailers that play before that movie, those trailers also are like even more niche than the film you're watching. So I've watched movies that I really liked that I would hunt down, and then I see a trailer for a movie that I've never heard of. I'm like, that one looks great, we should get that one. So, and then the other thing that you can do, if you have like a video lounge, we've had people come in and just watch their home videos that they can't watch anywhere else because their VCR is broken. So that's another thing where if you have these tapes that are just sitting somewhere and you're like, I'm not going to throw these away because it's got family members' names on it and things, but you can't use them. So that's another option where you can just bring your own tapes.
And it can be really expensive to get those digitized. I mean, there's a whole process, and even that can be difficult to get something digitized. So many movie theaters do put out ads and hope, for the best of people coming. You guys have created a membership kind of system, so explain how that works for us.
Do you want to talk about it?
Yes. So the way we're set up is we are doing some new releases, but we are also doing movies that we just want people to see that feel like maybe they didn't get enough attention when they came out, or maybe they got a ton of attention and we should bring them back because they're good. So, for instance, upcoming we have a new release called The Brutalist, which is about a Holocaust survivor immigrating to America post-World War II. So when you look at that, that's what we're playing on the big screen, and then after that each day we're going to pair another movie with something similar to it. So We are not allowed to directly advertise, but what those movies are. But if you've ever seen Harrison Ford with his little whip fighting Nazis, we're going to play all 4 movies that are worth watching of that series.
So you want people to kind of really come and hang out all day sometimes.
All day,
because
yeah.
I think The Brutalist is like a 3.5 hour
It
movie.
sure is.
You're parking it there for a
Yeah.
while, so
Yep.
you want to be comfortable.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's the thing is we're if you're a member, and all it means to be a member really is you can be informed on what we're playing. If you want to come in and watch as many movies as you want, like we have like a monthly membership, and those people can come and go as often as they want, stay for as many films as they want. A lot of people, though, don't want to go to the movie theater every day, even if it's a video lounge where you might hang out 3 times a week. You're not going to go every day. But if you wanted to come for the one movie, the one Harrison Ford movie that you really want to see, you could just come for that day and watch that one. And instead of charging you for that movie ticket, we just give you entrance to the lounge for the day. And then you can watch whatever's on in the cinema. So that's kind of how that works. So if you're on the email list, you get like 30 movies emailed to you every week, so you know when they're playing. And it's been crazy. Like we played a Quentin Tarantino movie at midnight. And we were like, with midnight movies in a small town, it's not really part of the culture to go out for a midnight film yet in Joplin, which we're hoping to change that. But then you play the right movie, and then the theater's full, and they all show up at the end of the night. And that was a crazy night that we weren't really expecting, but it was great. And so it's more about playing films that people care about.
So what inspired you to do that? Because St. Louis has a lot of classic movie theaters, the High Point, the Tivoli, who used to be known for always playing Rocky Horror Picture Show. It was always at like 11 or 12. I mean, this went through decades of being the late night movie. So was there a certain theater that inspired you? Are you modeling this after anything? Or, I mean, you're right, midnight movies are not what Joplin's known for.
Yes, as far as movie theaters that we're modeling it after, the lounge thing, we kind of just made it up. But as far as the classic films, it's something that we do to pass the time when we're on tour. So a lot of times what we like to do is if we have a day off when we're out with the band, we try to figure out, we have the Regal Unlimited, and I'm keeping that because we're not going to play like the big movies, like the big Hollywood movies, but I like to go see those too. But on tour, we found that it's a lot more fun to find the independent film center. There's a lot of fun spots, like Quentin Tarantino opened a movie theater in Los Angeles, and we've been 3 times now. And we always go for the midnight where he plays his own movies, and it's always sold out. And then there's always merchandise, and it's cheaper than a standard movie theater, but it's in a classic building that was a theater, and then he just turned it into something else. And he actually has a video cinema that he just opened, which I did not know about. And last time I was there, I wanted to go check out this theater. Then I got home and found out that theater I was going to go check out was a video lounge, and then I was like, I should have gone to that. So next time I'm in LA, I'm going to go to that one. But the New Beverly and then the Vista Theater are the 2 big inspirations. What was the one I just went to in Chicago? The Music Box. They had a VHS bar, but you couldn't pick what was playing. So I was like, this is pretty close to what we're doing. The only difference is the TVs were up high, and then they had the collection, but you weren't supposed to touch the collection. With ours, we have people come in all the time and just grab them off the shelf and then put them back. And we don't organize our movies because we know that they're not going to stay organized when people are using them. But we've got a lot in there, and I kind of like that people can interact with the analog technology as well. But lots of movies.
Can multiple people watch different movies at the same time? And then is there a noise issue, or do you are they cordoned off? How does it work so that you have decent sound but don't disturb somebody else watching a movie?
As people are figuring out how the lounge works, we're experiencing more of the noise issue. But we found it doesn't affect the cinema, and we've spaced the movies out enough that as long as you don't have somebody super inconsiderate, like we've had a couple people that came in and cranked it really loud, like full volume. And sometimes they're watching a movie you don't necessarily want everyone else to have to listen to. But we try to use discretion on that. I don't think I've ever asked anybody to turn anything down. I like replacing the standard ambiance music with kind of the hum of TVs. So I like that there's 4 or 5 movies playing at any given time in the lounge, and I think most of our guests are pretty considerate. It's surprisingly a quiet spot for what we're doing, but.
It's a pretty big space.
The pinball machine's kind of loud, so we're figuring that out. But we really like we have a Godzilla pinball machine, and that's pretty loud, but I like playing it. And there was somebody watching a movie right next to me when I was doing that, and I asked them about it, and I just turned the volume down a little on the game. But
so would you say it has a retro vibe too?
Oh yeah,
Definitely.
Yeah. That's the other thing about the comfy stay longer atmosphere is we kind of got rid of the can lighting. So instead of industrial lighting, it's primarily lit by a neon glow. So we have a lot of neon throughout the theater, which kind of creates a more of a warm atmosphere. And we have just enough of the can lights remaining so that if you wanted to read a book or something, you can. But we didn't want it to feel too bright. We wanted each spot to kind of have its own atmosphere.
Yeah.
So.
Well, yeah, there's a lot of times where a new movies will come out, they'll be nominated for Academy Awards, and no one in Joplin ever says like, oh, I've seen it, because they don't always come to our movie houses. Caleb, you're picking a lot of the movies. Do you feel like, do you ever go through lists and say, oh, let's look at what won awards and bring those back? What's your process?
What I mainly focus on is what pairs with what we have on our new release schedule. So The Brutalist is, come see that. That should get plenty of awards buzz. But does that answer your question?
Well, so you're kind of pairing your VHS other showings to go with. You're kind of having a theme.
Yes.
Theme nights. Yeah.
Yes. I mean, I have one TV that's right up by the bar, and I've been picking a lot of movies that I've just wanted to watch that I haven't made time for. But definitely some awards in
Are you guys taking requests?
Oh yeah,
absolutely.
That's another thing. And there were certain things that before we opened, we were like, we're going to do this, we're going to do this, and do this. And then now that we're open, we're like remembering those, and we're having conversations with people, and people have asked about requests a lot. I just texted Caleb at like midnight last night. I was like, hey, before I forget, here are 5 movies we need to work into the February schedule for like the member viewings. And so, we've got a few that you get some obscure ones, and then some people are like, I really want to see this movie. And it's like, I've never heard of that one, but I'll get it. So we don't play VHS in the cinema primarily. We play like premium format, at least like 1080p. But we've talked about doing a VHS night as well, because there are movies that you can't get like on a Blu-ray or 4K file. I'm trying to think what else. The one interesting thing about The Brutalist is it's up for probably a bunch of Academy Awards, but the Academy just delayed the nominations a full week. So there's not going to be Oscar buzz for another week. Yeah. So the delay was going to impact when the movie was going to release. So we got an email from the studio that said we couldn't play it until the following week, even though we'd already announced, because we thought we were good to go. Yeah. And we were like, hey, we'd really like to have this. And we worked it out to where we still get it, but they put us on their limited run. So the rest of the country doesn't have The Brutalist yet, but we get it in Joplin like a week early, which I thought was kind of rare and exciting. So I'm pretty pumped about that. So we have that this Friday. But I guess, this is going to come out later on, but it was just kind of fun that like we had all these people that were asking for The Brutalist. And I was like, for the new releases, if anybody in Joplin has a movie they want to see, like always shoot us an email. And if there's something else, you're like, could you play Scott Pilgrim? Like probably can, Yeah.
So we're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we will talk to members of a film club calling the Royale Cinema Lounge home, and later details of the outdoor cinema offered there at Royale Cinema Lounge. But first, a look at the hours of operation for the Royale Cinema Lounge. Welcome back to Newsmakers. The operators of the Royale Cinema Lounge are nurturing and welcoming community groups. A film club is already calling it home. Joining our conversation now is Jake Bennett, who coordinated the Midweek Movie Club. So,
yes.
How does someone become a member of the Midweek Movie Club?
Boy, you show up to the Royale Cinema Lounge at 8 p.m. on a Wednesday. I actually prefer you to get a little early. Don't show up at 8 p.m.
Okay, so you're a subscriber. Tell me, why is it worth it to you to be a subscriber to
be
the cinema, a member? You have a membership.
Member? Yeah.
You're a plus member.
Yeah,
what does that mean?
They got 2 different tiers, right?
Okay.
So it's like, a member is anyone that's on the email list that can get the showings. The paid member plus is where when I go in, I don't pay a day fee anymore because I'm a plus member and I just scan my ID, and then I don't have to pay the day fee, and I can stay and watch 17 VHSs. I can watch what they're showing in the main theater. If they're showing 2 or 3 movies in the main theater that day, I can watch them all. They're all sort of rolled into my membership fee. So I am a plus paid member, and I think it's more than worth it. I think the way that they're providing something that for people that love movies, if you like Marvel, you can watch that there. If you like super independent movies that no one's ever heard of, you can watch that there too. And I think that service is so needed in the area. So it was a no-brainer for me, honestly.
Do you yourself have a big movie collection? And is this something where like, hey, I don't have to buy it then, I can go watch it there? I mean, for you yourself, you're a big movie fan?
I am, massive. I would say I have a big collection, though. I think the collection lives in my head. I think I've got a Rolodex of films that I just love watching, and that's the upside of this, right, is there's so many VHSs are, like me and my wife, we went last weekend and watched Signs, and she had I saw it in parts when my dad was, or whatever, growing up,
wow.
and so... that was super fun just to sit and watch it on VHS and get their popcorn. The popcorn smacks. It's so good. It's crazy. There are times where Chelsea's like, let's go.
Just for popcorn.
Actually true. That's
well,
so true.
That's true of a lot of movies. I mean,
Yeah.
I can't go to a movie and usually not have popcorn.
It's so good, yeah.
And there are times when movies just don't make it to Joplin. So are you looking to this theater in hopes of getting accessibility to maybe some of those oddball movies?
I think so, and that's what's great about midweek movies. The club that I started specifically is, every Wednesday at 8 p.m. Something that either I love or that I think people will love is going to be showing. Whether that be a new release that I just show. We did a whole Black History February thing, and so I just shown this movie I saw was called Exhibiting Forgiveness, about this painter that is working through his relationship with his father that wasn't really ever present, and now he has a son, and he's like, how do I balance the way that my son is viewing my art when that's how I view my dad. Anyway, it's crazy. There was 2 people in the theater when I saw it at Regal, and so I'm so excited to show it, and I think it's amazing. But yeah, so films like that,
and there are things that people may just not have heard of.
Totally,
they didn't get
100%.
the big marketing push.
Yeah, because I think there are great independent films that don't get awards, and so it's where's the space for those? It's so anyway, yeah, I love showing everything. I toyed around with the idea of doing a Marvel thing in the summer just because I think that'd be insane. But then I was like, oh, you need 37 weeks for
There's a lot. You're right.
Do that.
There are lots of Marvel movies.
Yeah.
Are members of your group also into making films? I mean, is there possibly a platform for showing things that are, are you just watchers?
I think we are purveyors of cinema, and that can look like being super interested in the cinematography of a movie or the script of a movie or the performances in a movie. Okay. So it sort of is a conglomeration of different types of movie fans.
Yeah.
But no, if you want to shoot a midweek's sponsored movie, come to the lounge on a Wednesday.
Be part of the club.
Before 8 p.m. so we can talk before the movie shows.
Sounds great.
Yes.
All right, Jake Bennett, thanks for sharing your part of this adventure at Royal Cinema Lounge. All right. Time for another break, but when we come back, the Hurley brothers talk to us about the outdoor cinema at Royal Cinema Lounge. Welcome back to Newsmakers, where we're learning about the remodeled and reimagined Royale Cinema Lounge in the old Bookhouse Theater. We're joined once again by Nathan Hurley and Caleb Hurley. Thanks for being here today, guys.
Thank you.
You did some remodeling, and if you drive by, you can certainly see a big screen outside as well as inside. So tell me about your outdoor cinema that you've added.
Yes, so we have a 120 capacity outdoor theater, and we've got a concession stand that we remodeled outside. So when the weather, we finished it right as Christmas was rolling around, so it was like, this is going to be so fun next year. So we've got a permanent structure. The city worked with us to get it to where it passed all the inspections. So one of our owners that's not here today, Andrew, he is now a licensed general contractor for the city of Joplin because that was the only way we could build it ourselves. So that was kind of a challenge we faced with that one. But now that the cinema is good to go outside, we got a retired camera from a UK theater, so we've got a high-powered projector outside, and our goal for that is to play movies pretty much whenever the weather permits, and then hopefully by next winter we'll have some heating set up outside so that we can do Christmas movies, that kind of thing.
Oh, wow.
With hot chocolate, that's kind of what we're picturing. But we're planning to use it probably 3 to 5 nights a week, probably from like April through at least December.
So kind of like a little bit of a mini season for the summer. Caleb, do you have any certain movies in mind that you think are going to play better outdoors?
I do have a few, yeah. One of the issues that I've run into lately is that most of our new releases are not kid-friendly. So,
And you want it
I
to be
don't-
kid-friendly.
Yes, I don't think you should bring your child to see The Brutalist. That's just me. But so that's one of the things we're going to focus on is more family-friendly, like bring the whole crew.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there's some classic movies that kids might never see unless they would come to something like this. But there also is something about an ambiance of an outdoor. I mean, at my house, we've done backyard drive-in. You know,
Oh,
you
yeah.
pull down a projector screen. What do you think that offers to folks? Do you think there are people who kind of miss the idea of the drive-in without having to compete for all the cars?
Yes, I think there's something about, so I love the drive-in. I love that we have one nearby. The one thing I don't like sometimes about a drive-in is the lines and the first come, first serve nature of it. And then also, sometimes if you have a bad car that you go in, maybe your speakers don't sound very good or you have trouble with hearing the movie. But again, that's more like, there's a lot more responsibility as the consumer to like show up prepared for a drive-in movie. And we went to something called the Rooftop Cinema Club out in Los Angeles, where they would project movies on the side of a building, and you'd be on a roof. Very similar look with like outdoor seating, that kind of thing. And it really feels nothing like a drive-in when you're there, but it also doesn't feel like you're at a movie theater. So there's something about it that it was packed every time we went to it, and we just had a lot of fun. It's one of the things that we try to go out of our way for whenever we're looking for a place to watch a movie. And I think for Joplin, specifically with Third Thursday and First Thursday, when those events wrap up, sometimes you just go home. And you did the walk, or you've walked it twice and the event's still going on. But we're hoping to kind of pull East Joplin into the downtown scene a little bit.
Yeah.
So our goal is to have free movie nights for Joplin every third Thursday.
Oh,
so,
that's great.
And that'll be outside on the lawn. Hopefully get some food trucks in our parking lot, and that's something that I think would just be fun to do. So it'll be all ages movies, that kind of thing. And
So you're tying into the community. Why is that important to you? To kind of have that relationship to the community with other community events and maybe community groups as well?
yeah, do you want to talk about it?
Yeah, I think it's. I think it's important to foster a space for cinema, especially with the community. I think that Joplin has a very active art scene, and I think that sometimes the separation of a movie screen makes it harder to feel like you want to get out and support, but it is, they need our support as well. So bringing that to the community and bridging that gap, I think, is a very important part of our.
So your facility is also open to possibly renting for
Yes.
community events. So tell me about how that's going to work.
Yeah, we've had a couple this week, actually. Water Gardens had a book signing, and then they watched a documentary that heavily features Water Gardens, which I guess isn't out yet, but we got to see some of it when they were watching it yesterday. And then OCC used the space for an MLK Day viewing, and they watched a movie about Harriet Tubman. So it's really fun to just let other people pick the films. That's part of the reasons we do requests as well, because one thing that there's certain movies you just never got to see in the theater.
Right,
So
you
the
bet.
idea that maybe somebody, I saw Phantom Menace, like the Star Wars movie, when I was 2 years old. That's the first time I went to a theater. I don't remember it.
Yeah.
But having people that are 5 years younger than me, they didn't see that in theaters.
Yeah.
So if you really like Star Wars, it might be fun to go watch that in a cinema. The other reason I think it's important for Joplin, whether it's a private event or you reach out to us and we're like, we can make this open to the public, and then when there's no charge, that kind of thing. We really we're not about turning it into a event venue that we farm out. But if people want to use it and we're not already using it for something, then we're all about that. But the big thing for us is, I think Joplin sometimes gets a bad rap from the people in Joplin. And I think we're really good at complaining about where we live. I think everybody can do that in any town. I bet if you go to Bentonville, which I love Bentonville, I'm sure there's some guy in Bentonville who's like, nah, Bentonville sucks, you know? Like, but I feel like that person lives in every town. And I used to be that guy when I was in college. I just kept talking, I can't wait to get out of here. I'm going to go to New York.
There's nothing to do.
Yeah, exactly. And what I found too is, even if we hadn't done this, when Bookhouse came along, I was like, this is awesome. And I didn't want it to go away. That was one of the reasons we stepped in too, is because we just like, I like that this isn't a commercial theater.
Right.
But I think for Joplin, everything Joplin needs to be like an awesome town that keeps growing is already here. We don't need out of town things coming and like making it commercial and corporate, you know?
Right.
So I don't really want more chains in town. I like the idea that the communities and the citizens of Joplin can kind of make it what we want it to be.
Yeah.
So I think we've got to make that accessible, and part of that comes with just partnering with anybody and everybody that shares that vision.
Yeah.
So I would like in a few years to not have to go to Bentonville or Springfield for a comedy night, you know? Like,
Bring 'em here.
We've started
Right.
to do some comedy in Joplin, and I think, you know, premium movie theater experience, like that niche thing, I think we can have those spots here too.
So I was going to ask you how you guys came up with the name, but you know, you've kind of already alluded to it. You guys are both part of the band Fox Royale. So is that how the name came in, and how does being in the band then affect you guys operating this business?
That is how the name came about. It seemed like the humble thing to do. The band has not slowed down at all,
Okay.
which has introduced a pretty unique challenge of balancing the fact that we have to run a movie theater and also leave for a month at a time. It's been fun though. It's been a fun challenge, but we love the theater and we love making music, so
Yeah,
worth it.
our first big challenge is coming up next week. So we kind of lucked out where 2024 we were really busy the first half of the year, and we were gone for pretty much 6 months. And then as soon as we came back, I got really into the idea of doing the theater. So then we got the building
You were all
purchased.
in.
I went all in on it. And
Yeah.
then for a lot of different reasons, we didn't end up touring the rest of the year. So I had like no distractions. And, you know, we wrote a few songs and had meetings and everything, but we only played a few shows in the fall. And so there wasn't a lot of overlap of trying to get this crazy project I didn't know anything about off the ground with the band that I've been doing for 5+ years. But now, you know, like we were saying, we'll probably start touring around April or May. And then we got a call 2 weeks
February.
ago, and we're going out. Yeah, we're going out for all of February pretty much. So I'm excited because I like playing shows, and it's nice when the band gets an opportunity that like high school part of me is like, yeah, we're going on tour. And then like the business part of me is like, I need to make sure that somebody knows how to run this when I'm gone. Yeah. And I don't want to put all the burden on our third owner, Andrew, who you know, if we didn't hire the people we just hired, he would be working 7 nights a week.
So it's a 7-day-a-week business, so it will be a challenge for you guys, but we wish you the best.
Thank you.
And wish you success in your band too, so hopefully
you.
both can flourish, and we look forward to seeing things at the Royale Cinema Lounge. Thanks for being here.
Thank you for having us.
And that wraps up this edition of Newsmakers. Thanks to our guests, and thank you for watching.